to the 5 minutes because many members are here and they all have important questions on both sides of the aisle. I now recognize the gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Connolly. He's recognized for 5 minutes, and I appreciate his help on this hearing.
I thank the chair. Some of my friends on the other side of the aisle, including the ranking member, began sanctimoniously to say, we don't want to politicize this issue. Too important. Well, we didn't politicize the fact that the global health and security and biodefense desk at the National Security Council was dismantled by this administration 2 years ago. We didn't politicize the funding of health, public health in the United States in budget after budget that in fact made critical cuts, which we restored. We aren't the ones that called the alarm being raised about this pandemic as fake news. That came out of the President of the United States' mouth. And no gaslighting is going to hide that. And politicization. When the President of the United States finally did go down to CDC, with you, Dr. Redfield, he appeared wearing this hat, a campaign hat, in the middle of a crisis. We will not be lectured about politicization, and all of your words and sanctimony will not cover up the fact that this administration was not prepared for this crisis, and it put lives at risk, American lives at risk. We didn't have the tests we needed. We didn't have the diagnostics we needed. The President made patently false assertions, which Dr. Fauci correctly corrected, about the development of the virus. In fact, he was more concerned about what was happening on the stock market than he seemed to be concerned about American public health. And that's shameful, and you can't cover that up. And we will not be silent, nor will we be intimidated by charges of politicization in pointing it out, because lives are at stake. Dr. Redfield, you indicated one size does not fit all, and I think that's true. But there is a concern that we don't have any kind of uniform protocols and guidance for localities and states. So, for example, Mr. Cooper's state has decided not to identify a specific county where a coronavirus victim may be present, just a region of the state, whereas in my state, we are being quite precise about where a victim may be identified. They corrected that today. But again, there's confusion. Do we close things? Is it a certain number that we're worried about? When do people get tested? How do they get tested? What's the guidance about going to an ER as opposed to seeing your physician? What if you don't have a physician? There is real concern here about the need for more uniform guidance. Granted, one size does not fit all, but that doesn't mean there's no guidance at all and no protocols that states and localities could refer to. Would you comment?
Thank you. A very important question. First, we do have very specific guidance for a variety of things that CDC has published, really targeting more business community, hospitals, long-term care facilities. But the point you raised, I think, is the most important.